Friends, have you ever felt that knot of anxiety tighten in your stomach, that cold wave of doubt wash over you, simply because of how the world perceives you? That fear of not being taken seriously, of being judged before you even open your mouth? Today's story dives deep into that feeling, that very real pain of being underestimated. It's about a man named Beau and his aging sedan, a car that became an unwitting symbol of the prejudice he faced, until the moment he stepped out and the laughter died in their throats. Before we unfold Beau's incredible journey, I want you to connect with that feeling of being unfairly judged. Maybe it was a time someone doubted your abilities, or maybe they made assumptions based on something superficial. Hold on to that emotion for a moment. Now, if you're ready to witness how appearances can be deceiving and how quiet strength can shatter prejudice, go ahead and tap that like button. It lets me know you're here, you're listening, and you believe in the power of looking beyond the surface. And please, tell me in the comments where you're tuning in from. It's always amazing to see our community grow across the globe. This story, trust me, is especially for those who have ever felt the sting of being unseen. Beau had poured every ounce of his being into his tech startup, Innovate Solutions. Sleepless nights were his norm, fueled by lukewarm coffee and an unwavering belief in his vision. He'd faced countless rejections, investors who wouldn't give him the time of day, and the constant struggle of bootstrapping his dream into reality. His car, a slightly battered but meticulously maintained Avalon, was a testament to his early struggles. It had seen better days, its once sleek paint now bearing the faded marks of time, and countless journeys across the city chasing leads and attending meetings. To Beau, it was more than just transportation. It was a reminder of where he'd come from, a symbol of his resilience in the face of adversity. Today was a pivotal day. Beau had secured a meeting with OmniCorp, a major player in the industry. Landing this partnership could catapult Innovate Solutions to new heights. As he navigated his Avalon into the pristine parking lot of OmniCorp's headquarters, surrounded by gleaming luxury vehicles, that familiar unease settled in his stomach. He'd experienced it before, the subtle shifts in demeanor, the barely concealed condescension. Once, a potential client had remarked, his voice dripping with skepticism, "Are you sure you're the CEO? You don't quite look the part." The comment, laced with racial undertones, had stung. The unspoken narrative, the assumption that a black man couldn't possibly be the driving force behind an innovative tech company, was a hurdle he constantly had to overcome. He's black. He'd overheard someone whisper at a networking event, the tone implying a limitation, a disbelief. Beau parked his Avalon carefully, its age a stark contrast to surrounding opulence. He took a deep breath, adjusted his tie, and stepped out. The air felt thick with unspoken judgments. A group of sharply dressed executives walked past, their eyes flicking over his car, their expressions a mixture of curiosity and something that felt suspiciously like amusement. One of them chuckled softly, a sound that seemed to hang in the air. He walked towards the imposing glass doors, his shoulders squared despite the prickle of self-consciousness. Inside, the lobby was a symphony of modern design and hushed efficiency. The receptionist, cool and composed, directed him to a waiting area. As he sat there, the glossy magazines untouched on the table before him, he could feel the weight of unseen eyes. He knew what they were thinking, the assumptions being made. Finally, a young assistant, with a polite but somewhat indifferent air, led him to a conference room. 3 people were already seated around a large mahogany table. Mr. Sterling, the lead negotiator for OmniCorp, offered a brief, almost dismissive nod. Ms. Albright, the legal counsel, gave a curt smile, and Mr. Finch, the head of acquisitions, barely glanced up from his tablet. Beau began his presentation, his voice clear and confident as he outlined the groundbreaking potential of Innovate Solutions. He spoke passionately about his team, his technology, and his vision for the future, but he could sense a wall of polite skepticism. Their questions were brief, almost cursory, their attention seemingly elsewhere. Then Mr. Finch finally looked up, a slight smirk playing on his lips. "Mr. Beau," he said, his tone laced with condescension, "that's quite a vintage you drove in today. Does your company operate with equally outdated technology?" The implication hung heavy in the air. It wasn't just about the car. It was a thinly veiled jab at Beau himself, a questioning of his capabilities based on his perceived lack of outward success. The familiar sting of prejudice, the weight of the black narrative that often equated older with less, hit him hard. He felt a surge of anger, but he fought to keep his composure. "Mr. Finch," Beau replied, his voice calm but firm, "my car has served me well in the journey of building this company. Our technology, however, is anything but outdated. Innovate Solutions is at the forefront of innovation in our field. We may not have the flashy exterior of some, but our core is solid, powerful, and ready to deliver exceptional results." Ms. Albright raised an eyebrow. "We have received proposals from several established firms, Mr. Beau, firms with impressive portfolios, and might I add, more substantial appearances." Just as Beau felt his hope begin to dwindle, a sudden flurry of activity outside the conference room door interrupted the tense exchange. A hushed but urgent conversation could be heard in the hallway. Mr. Sterling frowned, clearly annoyed by the disruption. The door then opened, and in walked a distinguished woman with an air of quiet authority. It was Ms. Evelyn Reed, the notoriously discerning CEO of Omnicorp. Everyone in the room, including Mr. Sterling, Ms. Albright, and Mr. Finch, immediately straightened up, their expressions shifting to one of deference. Ms. Reed's gaze swept across the room, finally settling on Beau. "Gentlemen, Ms. Albright," she said, her voice calm but carrying an undeniable weight, "I apologize for the interruption. I reviewed Mr. Beau's proposal personally last night, and I must say I was intrigued." She then turned her attention directly to Beau. "Mr. Beau, I understand you drove an older Avalon today." Beau felt a fresh wave of anxiety. Was this another subtle jab? He nodded, his voice barely above a whisper. "Yes, Ms. Reed, it's been a reliable car." A faint smile touched Ms. Reed's lips. "Reliability is a quality I value, Mr. Beau. You see, my first car was an Avalon, a hand-me-down that got me through college and the early years of building this company. It wasn't flashy, but it was dependable. It taught me the value of substance over show." A stunned silence filled the room. Mr. Sterling, Ms. Albright, and Mr. Finch exchanged bewildered glances. Ms. Reed continued, her gaze unwavering. "Mr. Beau's proposal isn't just innovative, it's brilliant. It addresses a critical need we have, and frankly, it's more forward-thinking than anything the more substantial firms have presented." She turned back to her colleagues. "Mr. Sterling, Ms. Albright, Mr. Finch, I want Omnicorp to partner with Innovate Solutions. Let's schedule a follow-up meeting immediately to finalize the details." The shift in the room was palpable. The condescending smirks had vanished, replaced by expressions of surprise and a newfound respect. Mr. Finch, who had so readily judged Beau based on his car, now looked utterly dumbfounded. As Beau gathered his papers, Ms. Reed approached him, extending her hand. "Mr. Beau," she said, her eyes conveying genuine admiration, "never let anyone's superficial judgments define your worth or the value of your work. True success speaks for itself." Beau shook her hand, a wave of emotion washing over him. The sting of the earlier prejudice was still there, but was now overshadowed by a profound sense of vindication. He had been judged, dismissed, laughed at even in their silence, because of his appearance, because of the unspoken biases tied to the black narrative. But in the end, his talent, his vision, and the quiet dignity with which he carried himself had spoken volumes. As he walked back to his Avalon, the setting sun casting long shadows across the parking lot, the luxury cars no longer seemed to tower over him. His old sedan, once a symbol of potential judgment, now felt like a badge of honor, a reminder that true worth lies not in outward appearances, but in the strength of one's character and the quality of one's work. Friends, Beau's story reminds us that appearances can be incredibly deceiving. We often make snap judgments based on what we see on the surface, but true value lies within. It's a powerful lesson about overcoming prejudice and the quiet strength of those who persevere despite being underestimated. What are your thoughts on this story? Have you ever experienced or witnessed a similar situation? Share your experiences in the comments below. And don't forget to let us know where you're watching from. If Beau's journey resonated with you, please hit that like button. It helps us share stories that matter. The moral of Beau's story is clear. Never judge a book by its cover, and always look beyond the surface to see the true potential and worth within.